Hi everybody, this is God's Girl G, and thank you so much for joining me today. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. And for those of you returning to this channel and you're not already subscribed, I am going to encourage you to do so by clicking the subscribe icon below. And if during the course of this video you hear something that you like, I'm going to ask that you click the thumbs up, comment below, or better yet, share this video with someone who you feel could benefit from this information. With that stated, let's get into today's discussion. One almost never hears the word covet or covetedness. The commandment against coveting deals with the thoughts and intention of the heart. It has been called the mother of sin because the desire to sin first starts in the heart before it finds expression in an action. It's a sin that spawns other sins. Now, it may look very innocent and appears to do very little harm on the surface, but in fact, it can poison and taint every action that we have. Now, if you've been subscribed to my channel for a while, or you've been watching my videos for a while, you've known that I previously have done videos on envy and jealousy. So now let's add coveting to this list. What's the difference? What's the difference between those three things? None of them are good, but what's the difference? Envy is what you feel towards someone when they have something that you want. And jealousy generally refers to the thoughts and feelings of insecurity, fear, and concern over what you perceive to be a lack of possessions or even safety. And covetousness is what you feel about the thing that you want that another person has. This is a sinful feeling that is a result of having the wrong attitude toward material things. So now let's get into a little bit deeper discussion about coveting. If you look up the secular definition of coveting, it is the desire for something that is not yours and presently unattainable because it belongs to somebody else or lies just outside of your reach. Of all the 10 commandments, this is the only one that you cannot tell if someone is breaking that commandment or not. Only God knows that. Covetousness is a direct contradiction to Jesus's law of love. And his law of love is based on sharing and unselfishness. God included as the 10 commandments in Exodus 20:17. You shall not covet your neighbor's house, not covet your neighbor's wife, or his male servant, or his female servant, or his ox, or his donkey, or anything that's your neighbor's. And who's our neighbor? Everybody. Coveting is a sin, and it's a sign to God that you're not satisfied with what you have. So now let's get into some biblical examples of coveting. The Old Testament is full of examples and warnings about covetousness. In Joshua chapter 7, a single act of covetousness on the part of one man was enough for the entire army of Israel to suffer horrific defeat. Do you remember his name? Achan. Next, several centuries later, the prophet Isaiah recorded God's anger and corrective chastening of the covetousness that he saw in the heart of his people. And what did King David do when he was watching Bathsheba bathe herself? He was coveting his neighbor's wife. And as we know, this led to pregnancy, murder to cover up the sin, and severe repercussions for David, including repercussions for his family and the nation of Israel. And Gehazi, as a result of his covetousness, was smitten by leprosy. Now, if you recall, he was a servant of Elisha. And in 2 Kings, the 5th chapter, you may recall that Elijah healed Naaman through the power of God of leprosy. Naaman offers Elijah money for the healing, and Elisha refused. But Gehazi, no, he wanted the money. And so he ran after Naaman to get the money. And sadly, because of his covetousness. The leprosy that was removed from Naaman fell on Gehazi's eye. Now, what is interesting about the sin of covetousness is that it can show up in subtle signs. Now I'm going to share with you 3 of those subtle signs that you might be dealing with some covetousness issues. You ready? Subtle sign number 1, you don't rejoice with those who rejoice. Ask the Lord to help you be content with what you have and to see the blessings in your life, instead of comparing them and believing that you're coming up short. The next subtle sign, you're paying more attention to the people's material items than you are paying attention to the person. If we're not careful, thoughts of our lack and desire can sneak up on us and distract us away from people and their hearts. The third subtle sign, you compare yourself or your situation to others. That whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, that's got to go. When we embrace our God-given uniqueness and refuse to conform to other people's idea of how you should live your life, it will help you stop playing the keeping up with the Joneses game. Forget about what other people are doing in their life and focus on your own path. Next, I want to talk about 4 ways that you can help guard yourself against covetousness. First, mind your own business. You will be amazed how blessed you will feel when you just stick around what's happening in your own house versus looking at what's happening in other people's lives. Next, avoid certain situations when you know you're weak and will be tempted to covet. Don't set yourself up for failure. 3, remind yourself daily by either writing things down or listening to something. Keep a gratitude list. Doing so will help you easily recall and dwell on just how blessed you really are and what you think you may be lacking in. Maybe you're not. 4, make it a point to give more freely and frequently so that we kill this root of covetousness before it grows in our spirit. In our culture, we are constantly bombarded with messages that say we must have the newest this or that, or something that we really don't even need. It is the cause of vast amount of dissatisfaction and coveting. Coveting causes us to forget the blessings that we already have. Money and possessions in and of themselves, they're not evil. But when they take the place in the human heart that is reserved for God and God alone, then money and possessions can become a stumbling block, which, if not dealt with thoroughly and biblically, can result in spiritual destruction. At the end of the day, coveting is always born from a heart fearing scarcity. Just know we have everything we need in Christ. Thank you so much for joining me today. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Bye.